Hi, I'm Ziad Ali for Object-Oriented Programming. Today we're going to write simple classes in Java using Eclipse. We will start with the rectangle class. When I say rectangle, most probably what comes to your mind is going to be the width and length. Both are double. It's also a good idea to provide the client or the user of the class with a method that calculates the area of the rectangle. Remember, area is a computed value. It's not an attribute. You calculate the area from the attributes of the class, length and width. So we're going to create a method that returns a double in which the method multiplies width and length. Here is our class. The class name is rectangle. We have two instance variables, double and length, and we have one method which is getArea. Let's do this in Eclipse. Here I am in Eclipse. I have an empty project with two packages, model and test. I'll create a new class. The class name is rectangle. No need for a main method. It's just a class. See, the package is model. The class name is rectangle. Let's start with the attributes. Public, double, width. Why double? We'll talk about this later. Second one, public, double, length. So both attributes now are ready. What about the method? Let's go ahead and write the method. Public getArea takes no parameters. It will multiply width and length and returns it to the caller. We have an error here. I need to specify the return type, which is double. Our class is ready. We can now create objects from this class. The class name is rectangle, two attributes, width and length, and one method, the class in the package model. I'll go to the test package. There I'll create my app to test my class. I'll call it app. I need a main method, finish. Let's create our first rectangle. Since I'm in a different package, which is the test package, I need to import the class from the model package. So just type import model, the class name appears to you. Now you're ready to use the rectangle class. Let's create our first object, rectangle. Let's name it R1 equals new rectangle. This moment you are creating an object with the name R1 from the class rectangle. Let us set the values for both width and length. If you don't set them, they are 0. Now R1 dot width equals 4.5, R1 dot length equals 6.15. Now you are ready even to use the getArea function because both attributes or both variables are ready. Let's directly output it. Sysout R1, I'll call the function getArea. The getArea returns double. Let me run this. I get this value. This value was returned from the function using the attribute values in the R1 object. Let's analyze what happened when we created the rectangle object from the rectangle class. When we said rectangle R1 equals new rectangle, a new rectangle object was created in memory. It's an instance of the rectangle class. The name of the object is R1. It has the same attributes of the rectangle class. Initially, numerical attributes will be set to 0, Boolean will be set to false, any object attribute will be set to null. Look at the attributes, they are the same. However, each object has its own copy of the attributes and has its own values and has its own memory space. Then we're going to set the values for both width and height. R1.width is equal to 4.5, the values changed. The width variable of the R1 object, because there might be so many objects in memory, each one has its own attributes. Then we set the length 615. Now we are ready to use the getArea method because both values have been set. Let's create a new rectangle object. Rectangle R2 equals new rectangle. The moment you instantiate an object, the attributes all will be initialized to 0. If I try to output the area now, let me output it. The area will be 0. R2.getArea. I call the objects function now. So the output is going to be 0. Run 0. If you change the values, let me change the values. R2.width equals 4.89. R2.height or length equals 6 or 7.6. If you call the function now from the object, you get the new calculation of the area. So the function will be working on the values of the object. When you change the values, the function will use the latest or the current value stored in memory for that object. In the beginning, R1 was only in memory. Then we instantiated R2. Now we have two instances of the same class in memory. Each instance has its own space, its own variables, its own values. You know why the width and length of R2 are zeros? You can set the values and then getArea will be ready to be used. Let's do some comparison between R1 and R2. Let's compare their areas. If R1 dot getArea is greater than R2 dot getArea, output a message that R1 is larger. Else, we would say R2 is larger. You can use the methods of the object in any other calculations, comparisons, loops. The code is ready now. Let me run it. I think R2 is larger. Yes, R2 is larger. Let me change the width of R1, 14. If I run it now, R1 is larger.